Good morning. It is 8:36. You can't see my watch, but trust me. And it is one of those days. It's just a little bit sluggish and gray, and we'll probably be slogging around for some miles this morning. But there is nothing to shake out of the spring doldrums here like a brand new marathon racing shoe. Now, this was not sent to me by Hoka. I did not even purchase this with my own money, but we had a viewer on the channel here, Brian Smith, who wanted me to try the Rocket X2 so badly and so passionately, and he's such a great dude that he sent me his pair. We happen to wear the same size, and he offered to send me his pair. I tried to send him a pair of Endorphin Pro 3s I had that were barely used, and he said, no, I just got the Pro 4 because of you, so I'm just going to send you these things. So shout out to Brian Smith. I'm still cooking up something for you guys, and I'll have an announcement on it soon so that if you guys have gently used shoes like the Rocket X2 from Brian here, which only has about 52 miles, he said, you'll be able to sell them, get rid of them, get some of your money back if they're not working for you. So with that, guys, and wow, it just started raining as we're standing out here. You can see, hopefully this washes the slugs off the porch. But with that, one of the last marathon racing shoes that I need to complete my arsenal of racing weapons so I can be the most well-informed running shoe analyst in the world. Hoka Rocket X2, let's get into it. Now, I'm on a mission. I don't know if you guys knew this or noticed this, but I'm on a mission to try every single marathon racing shoe out there, and it's kind of expensive to buy them all myself. So I'm trying to slowly get them. Some of the brands are sending stuff to me now, which is cool. But I also want to try the ones that are hard to get, like the Adidas Evo Pro. So if you want to see me try the Evo Pro, drop a comment below saying, we got to get the hobby jogger, the Evo Pro, or something to that effect. And I'll try to email Adidas and see if we can get that. But this is the Hoka Rocket X2. Hey, my guy Brian sent it to me. He's got jokes, man. He put the Asics Super Blast on the box and then crossed off the Nike symbol. So let's look at this. Boom! In the OG launch colorway. Look at that. This is I think this is one of the best racing shoe colorways out there. Hoka does some nice stuff. Let's take a look at this. Bang. By the way, he even put the Supwell motto on the box. Up your best. He's been watching the channel. He knows what's good. Let's take a look at this in the rain. You got this beautiful blue with the yellow. This has got to be one of the cleanest colorways, and Hoka does a really nice job with their colorways on their shoes. I know what's the recent one? The Skyward X. I mean, you didn't like that red, white, and blue, but with this guy here, this is a clean shoe. Now, this has about 50 miles on it, so this is going to be a little bit of an interesting first run review because we can also see the general durability on the Rocket X here. And I'm not sure exactly what Brian's foot strike is. He can probably drop that below for us, but it doesn't look like there's too much wear on the rubber here. And the foam looks like it's in pretty good shape still. You got a little bit of compression, but within 50 miles, a shoe is not going to lose its performance. And a lot of these marathon racing shoes now, well, this current generation, they do have a decent amount of rubber, both on the front and the back. But what we're seeing is that in the elite racing shoes, the Evo Pro, that new On prototype that Hellen Obiri wore. Matter of fact, let me fire this up. We can do a little bit of a analysis for you guys. I don't usually dip and dabble. Where's my phone? Oh, my phone's inside. Hold on. All right, here we go, guys. Look at this. I don't usually dip and dabble in this shoe anymore. I used to do this a lot in the unreleased shoe analysis, but this is a picture of the On prototype that Hellen Obiri ran in to win the Boston Marathon. She's an absolute savage. But what you can see is that there are no laces. And what I think this means is that, again, like I've been predicting, it's going to be a race to the bottom for weight. That is the new frontier in these marathon racing shoes. And I think with this one-piece upper, you can probably get a pretty lightweight construction, and then you're shaving even just a little bit more weight without the laces. And so I really want to try the Adidas Evo Pro, which is why I've been telling you guys to comment that below. But the shoe, the whole point of me showing this is that with these new
top tier marathon racing shoes that are going to be $300, $400, $500 plus dollars. It's all about the weight. But with the mainstream ones we can buy right now, like the Rocket X2, even the Vaporfly, they do have a little bit more rubber on the bottom for durability. And if you take a look at how they've done this rubber on the Rocket X2 here, you do get a good bit going up on the back. And comparing to the Vaporfly, which I brought out here when I went to go buy grab my phone, you can see there's not a lot of rubber in the back. I chewed up this outsole a ton. This has fewer than 50 miles on it. And so I am more of an aggressive heel striker, but look at that. I mean, I ran a 119 half marathon in this, and I think some other workouts, but doesn't have a ton of miles, and the back of it got chewed up. So the Vaporfly isn't the most durable shoe, but what I loved about this shoe for the half marathon, and more so the Vaporfly 2 than 3, but it has a very soft, lightweight feel. I just glide along anytime I put on a Vaporfly. And so with the Hoka here, the Rocket X2, I've heard that the shoe has a decently similar feel to that Vaporfly experience, but we'll have to see how it rides. It is pretty lightweight, definitely not the latest weight racing shoe, probably not as lightweight as the Asics, but everything about it is just giving me a streamlined vibe. The upper is streamlined. You don't have a lot of padding or structure in the heel counter here. Very flexible upper, and we'll compare it to the Cielo X1 after we run in it, but all the way on the other side of the spectrum. And so a lot of brands now are doing the two shoe thing. So you got the Rocket X2 and the Cielo X1. You got, of course, the OGs in the game, Vaporfly and Alphafly, and then the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 and Endorphin Elite. I need to try the Endorphin Elite as well. So this is the more traditional marathon racing shoe. And guys, I actually think we're going to see a third shoe come into play for some of these brands now. They might be keeping Vaporfly, Alphafly, and then adding Vaporfly Elite on top of that, or Alphafly Elite, which is going to be the $500 one that barely gets produced. It's in limited stock. It's the super lightweight one that's only made for 1 or 2 races. I'm predicting now that's the trend that we're going to see in the market, where you get this split off of mainstream racing shoes like Adidas is doing. They're pioneering it. And then the hyper lightweight shoes just for the elites. But for now, we can buy the same shoes that the elites race in. This is priced at $250, right on the center of market. We don't hear a lot of hype about it anymore because it's not a brand new shoe, and that's something I want to get away from on the channel, just highlighting the new shoes. That's why we're doing this whole series of finally try on some of these oldies but goodies. So Rocket X2, full carbon fiber plate in this bad boy, Piba foam, lightweight upper. I want to get this on the foot and see how it compares to some of these other shoes. And if you take a look at this, it looks like our friend Brian here was using the runner's knot to lace this guy up, maybe because the back here is not the most structured. So we'll see. We'll do the standard Supwell no flop knot and see if that's sufficient to get a good lockdown here. It was sufficient in the Invincible 3 for me to get a good lockdown, so I think we'll be good here as well. All right, let's get this on foot. We got to treat our shoes well. That was not treating them well. Oh, look, Brian left us a note here. Go be famous, little Hoka Rockets. You have never gone as fast as you're about to go. Thanks for the channel, you want to. Well, so I guess I have to put some serious pace in these. I don't know what kind of pace Brian was putting on these, but we'll have to up their best. Okay, so I actually brought the scale out so we could do the weigh-in and the Cielo X1. This isn't going to be pretty, but before we do that, I need to show you guys something, and I think we might need to, well, just take a look at this, okay? This is Helen O'Beary at the Boston Marathon in the On prototype. And if she can win the Boston Marathon in this shoe with that heel lockdown, look at that. Her heel isn't even strapped in to this shoe. Then I don't think I ever want to hear the words heel slip again. Because look at this. Talk about heel slip, man. There's no laces. And she ran a 220 something in Boston to defend her title and win back-to-back races. So no more heel slip conversations on this channel. Anyway, with that, let's throw the Rocket X2 on the scale. So this guy's coming in at 236.5. That's a little bit heavier than I would have anticipated. So I didn't bring out all the racing shoes, but I brought out a few of them, and that's pretty close to the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. I think this guy's about 230. Yeah, so that's actually almost exactly what the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 weighs. And I think we're getting a similar, we are getting a similar amount of rubber coverage, and they're both Piba, but the Pro 4 has a little bit more padding on the upper, and it looks like a little bit more comfort built into the upper, so that's interesting. And then Vaporfly, this guy is going to be a lot lighter. Yeah, 204 grams. And then we got the whale of a racing shoe here, Cielo X1. This is 270, but very bouncy shoe. Do not sleep on the Cielo X1. So Rocket X2 right in the middle when it comes to weight. So all right, let's strap this guy on. Alright guys, so lacing up the Rocket X2 here. Now plan for this run is 10 to 12 miles. I'm thinking I'm going to run this as a progression. So start off at a nice aerobic pace and try to finish it a little bit faster, or maybe just a tempo, but get into some sort of little bit faster pace. Now these are a 10.5. Yeah, these are US men's 10.5, but they feel really tight. Wow. This is a snug fitting upper for sure. And my toes are pretty much right at the end here, but it feels really tight. Let me see if I can have only left shoes of the other one. I'm going to have to go grab another shoe to compare this to. Maybe the Cielo X1, because this is super snug fit. A lot snugger than the other Hoka shoes at 10.5. And we have discovered some variation in the Hoka sizing. The Mach 6 was also really snug. So hold on. So I just grabbed the Cielo X1 here, and this guy a little bit taller. They did some trickery to get around the 40 millimeter stack height requirements. And yeah, this is in general a little bit more of a comfortable fit. It is a lot tippier, and if you look at the back here, it's missing some foam. There's less foam in the very back. It also feels like a little bit of a softer Piba than what we get in the Rocket here. And the most foam on the platform is right here. So if you're a heel striker, you have to fight over the foam a little bit to get a good stride, or to get the most benefit out of this shoe. But yeah, everything about the Rocket X2 feels a little bit more normal, a little bit more traditional, and that's what we've been seeing in the two shoe setup from a lot of the brands to this point. You have one shoe that's a little bit more traditional, following the Vaporfly side of things, like the Rocket X2, the Saucony Endorphin Pro. And then you have one shoe that's a little bit more experimental, more curved. Maybe it's a newer foam, or there's some other technology in there. And that's how most brands are splitting out the two shoes. But like I'm saying, I think you're going to start to see one of the shoes, or maybe a third shoe, become that lighter weight elite racing shoe. But okay, a little comparison. Yeah, quick comparison between these two. Rocket X2, walking with it, the foam feels a little bit firmer, feels like a more of a normal shoe, and the Cielo X1 is much more curved, and I have to almost be on my toes, walking on my tiptoes, for it to feel normal walking around because of that curved bottom here. I can't land with the heel first and then roll through, because you get that mid-foot arch bump. All right, quick jog test. They both have a nice bounce to them, but the Cielo X1 just has a little bit more of that soft and propulsive feeling with that roll through. Rocket X2 felt a little bit lower to the ground, but still really good bounce out of the shoe. All right, let me get this other one on and we can do the real run. So right now in my training, I'm still rebuilding my mileage, climbing back to 100. Probably won't get 100 this week, but I'm thinking next week we'll probably hit that first 100-mile week after the marathon. So this week is all about banking mileage, starting to work back a little bit more speed. And my guy Midlife Runner told me he just got a coach, and so he's working on some speed too. So I think this is going to be the summer of speed, guys. I'm excited to do a little bit faster miles and work in some of these tempo style efforts again. And wow, I'm fighting to get this right shoe on my foot. My left foot is actually, I think, the one that's a little bit bigger. But this is just a tight, snug upper overall. Yeah, and I don't know if there's a gusseted tongue. Yeah, there's some sort of a situation in here. If you can see this yellow, that is locking the foot tight in place. And you also have a little bit of a see-through upper. I can see my sock through here, but this is a really tight fit. which again would be nice if they're going for that lightweight. You might be able to do a shoe like this and not have the laces and do a lot less rubber. And even that could probably save you 20 ounces right there. Maybe save you half a gram or a gram. I think I reversed that. Save you 20 grams or half an ounce. I don't know. I'm just an American, but my coffee scale uses grams. But all right, we got the shoes on, and it's time for the first run. Alright guys, so we finished, and I had to go inside and grab 2 more shoes here. Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and Nike Vaporfly 2, because before I even pause my watch here, I will tell you, the Rocket X2 is like they took these 2 shoes and smashed them together. But alright, let's see what we got. I was moving and grooving. Shout out to my guy Brian Smith for sending these. Yeah, 10 miles, average 6:10 pace. That is dang near my half marathon pace from last block. That's about 6 seconds per mile off from my half marathon pace. 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 8 seconds. I think we'll call that a tempo run. I don't know. Was that a tempo run? Was that just a hard, fast run? But either way, it felt good. And as I'm taking these shoes off here, guys, I've heard this one word come up 3 times recently that I've got to tell you guys about. Well, you probably know the word, but manifestation. And I am not the type of person who is all lovey-dovey. Well, you can ask Charlie about that. I'm not into juju and woo-woo and cutesy stuff, whatever you want to call it. But I've seen manifestation come up 3 times recently. Forget the first time, but the second time was last night. I was watching an interview with Larry June's manager or friend who he founded his label with, Sean Kelly, and he was talking about the power of manifestation and how Larry June was big into it. And then this morning I saw it come up again in an interview with a rapper from Detroit, V's. He's really talented, creative, kind of left-handed pocket style of rapper, but he was talking about the power of manifestation. And so I'm going to manifest something today, guys, all right? We are launching the Gently Loved shoe marketplace, thanks to Brian Smith here, because this is the little push I needed to get up the shoe entry page. And so you will find in the description, I'm going to officially publish it after this video, and then it will be in the description, a link where you can submit a shoe like this Rocket X2 here. This would be the perfect shoe to submit for the shoe marketplace. So you can go in there, drop a few pictures of the shoe, say how many miles you have on it, why you're selling it, and what price you want to sell it for. I'm going to make a rule it has to be $40, at least $40 lower than MSRP. Otherwise, you can go sell the shoe on eBay. But I'm going to hand pick the first batch of shoes to be listed on Subwell. I will manage the listings, we'll post them, and we'll get the shoe marketplace going. And so that's another reason why I brought out, let me pop this other shoe off here. That's another reason why I brought out the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 here, because this is a great example of a shoe that could go on the marketplace. Look at this guy. So this has 50 miles on it. It looks brand new. The upper is pure white. You got a little bit of wear on the bottom, but not too bad. And so these are the types of shoes that we're going to be putting on the marketplace for you guys to buy and sell. And I think there's a little bit of a gap in the market for something like this. You have some of these other marketplace sites, but they're not for runners by runners. That's going to be the difference with this, guys. And I'm going to make sure that everything that we're listing is quality. So that's how it will work. You can go in there, input your shoe, and then we'll get this first drop up, and Subwell will be taking a little bit of a transaction fee once those transactions are made. So I'll get all the details up, but we got to get some inventory. I'm manifesting it, guys. I think we can get 50 Gently Loved shoes up there. So if you have a Gently Loved shoe like the Rocket X2 or the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, go ahead and submit it on the forum, And this is going to be a great way to serve runners. Now, thoughts on the shoe here, Rocket X2. Like I said, lots of qualities that make it similar to my favorite racing shoes, Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 and then that Nike Vaporfly over there. So it reminds me a lot of that rockered feeling of the Pro 3, specifically right up here in the forefoot. And so you get this more flat, planted platform back here, which gives it some nice stability in the heel, but then when landing midfoot or forefoot, or even just running, and I'm a little bit of a more powerful runner, and I've been practicing some better arm carry, not better, but I've been practicing a different style of running over the past few days since reading Cerruti. He talks a lot about strength and arm carriage, and he advocates for a more powerful style of running, which is my natural way of running. And I've tried to modify that a little bit because you hear so much discourse in this modern running society. From the running cognoscenti, that's a little Dan Hansa shout out, but from the running cognoscenti about being light on your feet, being graceful, being high cadence. That is not my style, man. I'm 6'2", 160 pounds, former lacrosse and basketball player. I put a lot of force down into the shoe. And so running with a little bit more strength and just pushing some power into the shoe, it responded really well. Reminded me a lot of what I liked about that Pro 3, but for some reason feels a little bit lighter than the Pro 3 on foot. And you saw the weigh-in, they were, I think, basically the exact same weight. I guess the exact same weight as the Pro 4. That means it's a little bit heavier than the Pro 3, but something about the way that the foam compresses, I think, gives it a little bit of a lighter feel. Now, stability was good. I was moving and grooving, so it wasn't like I was in need of any heel stability. I think for a marathon, probably wouldn't be the shoe I would pick personally for a marathon, just because it's not that structured, and I made that mistake once with the Asics Metaspeed Sky. I'm not going to make it again, but for a half marathon or anything shorter, stability is good, and the feel of this foam was just, man, fantastic. This is a great PIBA foam, and similar to that Vaporfly, it has a little bit of that compression, but similar to that Power Run PB over there, it has more of that firm bounce to it. And I wouldn't call this a firm shoe, but compared to the Cielo X1, let's see. Yeah, compared to this Cielo X1 here, this is, look at this. I can, did I just rip that? Feels like I just tore the foam a little bit. But yeah, pushing in this foam here, it is very soft. You can see how deep my finger goes into this foam versus the PIBA and the Hoka here. And one thing I like about Hoka is they do not name their foams. They just call it PIBA, supercritical EVA, compression molded EVA. Big shout out to Hoka for not doing any gimmicks with that. But you can see I get a lot more return, energy return. I don't know if that's what you call it, but yeah, my finger as I'm pushing it in bounces right back off. And so I think this shoe suits my powerful style of running really well, especially as a half marathon shoe. And we have these two different styles of shoes, from Hoka to marathon racing shoes. But I think the way I might look at this is Rocket X2 is the half marathon shoe and Cielo X1 is the marathon shoe. And I regret I think I would have probably taken in hindsight the Cielo X1 over that Asics Metaspeed Sky because it's more cushioned. The stability is better. The only weird thing with it for me is being more of a heel landing runner at that marathon pace. Sometimes it felt like I was fighting over this middle, but there's lots of cushion and bounce here that makes it a super comfortable shoe for longer runs. I did a 22-mile long run in this shoe with marathon pace and threshold pace, and it was absolutely amazing. Towards the end of this, even just 10 miles today, Rocket X2 felt a little bit firm. So that's why I'm saying this is a half marathon shoe. I was cruising at, I think my half marathon pace now would probably be high fives, maybe around 6 flat. So I was basically around half marathon pace today and 10 miles. So 3 additional miles in this would have been fine, but I don't think I would have preferred to go much longer than that, especially when we have other more comfort-oriented options on the market, like the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, which we will be listing on the Gently Loved Used Shoe Marketplace, and then the other shoe I brought out here, Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, which is still, even after running in the Rocket X2, my top pick for a marathon racing shoe. Out of everything I've tried this year, this blends comfort and speed the best. And we still need to try the Saucony Endorphin Elite, which is a more aggressive version of this, but I'm having a hard time seeing anything dethrone the Endorphin Pro 4 here. If you have a shoe that you want me to try that I haven't yet that you think can dethrone the Endorphin Pro 4 from that top marathon shoe perch, let me know. But yeah, quick comparison here between these two. You can see, and wow, we're just littered with race shoes. It's like the Bia song. Got a whole lot of race shoes in this. But yeah, look at this. Around the back here, Pro 4, so much more padding. The Hoka Rocket X2 is just so flexible. But what I do have to say, the lockdown and the way that it fit, shout out to Helen O'Beary, was pretty solid out there because it's so snug up in the front. And I think something that they did with this material, and I'm not sure if it's a Gore-Tex membrane, but it has that tight Spider-Man suit kind of feel. And my son Reevesy, he's been obsessed with Spider-Man because one of our family friends got him a little Spider-Man doll figurine thing. He's been carrying it around everywhere and saying baby Spider-Man. So shout out to Reevesy and baby Spider-Man. But that's what this feels like. It feels like a superhero suit for your foot, and that goes with the rocket theme, I guess, rocket power. But because it's a little bit snugger, that makes the back heel here not have or not be an issue, even though it's a little bit more unstructured, similar to I have to get up and go get it. But that is similar to the Vaporfly 2 and to a lesser extent Vaporfly 3. And if you look at these two shoes, it's a little bit of a half measure because they do add, and you can see as I'm pinching in the Vaporfly 2 here on the right, you can see I can't completely put my fingers together. There is some sort of reinforcement back here, similar with the Vaporfly 3 in my left hand. I can't push my fingers together because there's some sort of plastic heel cup. Now, Hoka Rocket X2, they didn't do a half measure, and that's something that I like about Hoka that I'm realizing. If they're going to go for something, they just fully commit to it. In the Mach 6, they said, we're not going to go for a ton of stability. We're just going to smack you with some supercritical EVA foam. And the Skyward X, they said, we're not going to try to make this a lightweight shoe. We're going to throw a ton of padding in that tongue and make this a pillowy, soft, sensational, shout out to Future, shoe. And in the Rocket X2 here, same thing. We're not going to try to do a little half measure with the plastic heel cup. We're just going to give you that lightweight Spider-Man suit upper that is completely flexible here. And so I didn't have any issues with the fit of this, and I think because they just committed to it being looser, ironically or counterintuitively, that made it tighter because you're able to just lock down. And I think that's why Brian had the runner's knot here, but I was able to just do the Supwell certified knot, and that gave a really nice snug fit around the ankle versus Vaporfly 2 here. Let me just put it on real quick so you guys can see. But around the back, oh man, I'm not going to do that. Don't try to put on a shoe while you're sitting down with the camera in between your legs. That's a classic thing. I'm going to get injured trying to put on a shoe after running, not on the actual run itself. But trust me when I say there is a gap on this shoe between the ankle and the heel collar here, which did not happen in the Rocket X2. Now, outsole here, take a look at this. I will have to pull the footage from the beginning, but I think I might be a little bit more of an aggressive heel striker than Brian, because even on this run today, I think we're seeing more wear in the foam in the back here than the shoe had when Brian sent it to us and when I opened it about an hour and a half ago. So that is something to note. It looks like Brian might have been a little bit more of a 4-foot runner. I'm not sure. But now the shoe has about 60 miles on it, and the rubber isn't the thickest layer. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the premier durable shoe for marathon racing and training, but that is where Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 and also the Adidas Adios come in. Those are really the durable champs in this segment. These shoes are not, but one nice thing is, unlike the Cielo X1, at least Hoka has more rubber on the back here. But another thing I was going to say about the rubber feel of this shoe, it felt really planted out there and really sticky and nimble, and it's completely dry now. It was raining a little bit, but it dried up because it's on the hotter side today. Let me see what the temperature is. It says it's 69 right now, so about 70 degrees right now, dry, but I felt really in control and planted up here. And even though it has this aggressive rocker, something about the way, maybe it's that you don't get a ton of foam right up underneath the foot here, but something about the way that the shoe is set up gave me a lot of control in the forefoot, and that makes me think this shoe might be a nice option for track athletes who are doing shorter and faster workouts who want something a little bit more protective for their legs than a spike, but it did have that almost Takumi Sen-like feeling, but with a little bit more protection. And so for me, I would put this in the category, and it's not a super aggressive shoe like the Vaporfly here, and it's not as built up of a shoe as the Endorphin Pro. I would put it a little bit in the middle between the Vaporfly, super aggressive, and even between the Takumi Sen and Cielo Road, not Cielo X1, but the Cielo 5K racing shoe and Streakfly. Between those shoes and these more stacked, beefed up marathon racing shoes over here, like the Endorphin Pro and Cielo X1. This is a really nice option. I think if I were about to race a half marathon, I'd probably pull for this. I'd probably try this because I took the Sky Paris for the marathon, and so I'm not going to race in that again. But this might be the next one up for a half marathon race because it's a nice feel where you still get that lightweight, more controlled, nimble ground feel, a little bit of that firmer snap off the forefoot, but really good rock and not the softest, but decent amount of cushion. So probably won't take this up for a 20-mile long run anytime soon because I don't think that's really what this shoe is about, at least for me. But really nice option, and maybe one day when I'm cranking out 2:29 marathons, it's just going to manifest that right there. Maybe one day when I'm cranking out 2:29 marathons, the Hoka Rocket X2 will be the shoe that I use for that. So overall, I really enjoyed the shoe. I think if you're a powerful runner like me, this would be a good option for a half marathon. I think I'm just going to stop recommending any of these more aggressive shoes for the marathon distance. I think most people will be served a little bit better by a shoe like the Cielo X1 or the Endorphin Pro, or even a training shoe like the SC Trainer V2. I think that's what most people... Oh gosh, what did he get on our shoe here? Oh, is that bird poop? All right, I have to go wash my hands, but I think most people... Oh, we got it on our Vaporfly as well. Oh, man, this is a disaster. All right, final closing note. Oh, and it's the bottom of the Cielo X1. Oh, final note. Yeah, I think most people will do better in a slightly more cushioned shoe, not the Vaporfly, not the Sky Paris, not the Rocket X2 for the marathon distance. Yes, I know there's somebody out there, I ran a 3:45 in the Adidas Takumi Sen 7. Yeah, that's great, bro. But these tools exist for a reason. These more cushioned marathon racing shoes are what I will be racing in for my marathons in the future, not these lighter weight, unstable race shoes that are going to be a little bit better for half marathon and 10K distance. And we got this weird poop thing on the Rocket X2 laces. Okay. All right. Well, I think it's my cue to sign off. Everybody go list your inventory on the shoe marketplace. We are manifesting greatness for the rest of 2024. I appreciate you all. Up your best, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.